I did my speech over drugs because it tends to be an ongoing problem with the younger generation and something that has become an epidemic. The top four drug uses are weed, pills, heroin, and coke. The very first one that I decided to look up was weed. It is most commonly the first used drug. It is a gateway drug, and nobody has ever died from it that we know of. It is a dried up flower and leaves of a hemp plant and is referred to as Mary Jane, pot, smoke, reefer, skunk, and many more. Another really big one that kids in high school typically tend to get hooked onto is pills. A lot of kids like to snort Xanax, Oxycontin, Percocet, Vicodin that they receive from family members or friends. You typically see people do smaller lines, but multiple lines because bigger lines tend to cause an overdose. And people sometimes think that doing smaller lines the same amount won't affect them as much, but it still does affect you. People that do snort are more likely going to get nosebleeds because snorting such a potent thing deteriorates the inside of your nose. And then the next one that's very, very big right now is heroin. It's the most significant drug threat in America right now. About 38,000 Americans die every year from this, and it's mainly referred to as boys. It is a chemical compound that includes morphine, molecule cultivated from the poppy opium. It's commonly sold as white or brown powder. It can be smoked, snorted, or shot up with a needle. Most of the time, people go from snorting or smoking to snorting to shooting up because the effects tend to be different. It slows down your breathing and it can ultimately stop it, which would result in an overdose. And the last one that I looked up was cocaine. It can be in the form of rock or powder. If you're going to get a rock form, it would be considered as crack. If you did a powder form, it would be cocaine. Cocaine raises your blood pressure and your heart rate extremely high. So most likely when people overdose from this, they're typically going to have a heart attack or a stroke. It is referred to as candy and girl, and it's mostly to be snorted, and about 11,000 Americans die every year from this. Every 8 out of 10 teens do abuse drugs. So if you know a family member or a friend that is suffering from drug abuse, please try to help them out as much as you can. You can only help them as much as you can because they do need to say, I need help as well. So maybe if you try to help them out a little bit, we could stop this epidemic and have more lives saved.